I like my did this in my pajamas to name it. And I got dressed up. Are we ready? I might have some other two. Are we ready? Okay, thank you. I'd like to call to order the committee of the whole meeting for Tuesday, February 13th at 5 o'clock, 2024. We're being held and transmitted electronically via council chambers located at 39 South Shore Road in Cowichan, BC. We acknowledge with gratitude and respect the Suboxet people on whose lands we live, work, and play. Are there any additions to the agenda? Do I have a motion to accept the agenda presented? Councillor Frisbee, Councillor Sandu, Weaver. Thank you. Public input. If any public would like to speak on whatever is on the agenda, then now we should.
Just because I think that a lot of these people are going to be talking about my business, which I believe is the one spoken about in the parking public parking spaces, which I'm happy myself. You
Want to leave now?
Yeah, due to a conflict of interest.
Right.
I'd like to come back for.
We'll call you back in. Okay. So one at a time. Yes. So your name and where you live, please.
Tracy Mitchell, and I live on
Just
Point.
steps forward so the owl can pick you up
Do I have to talk now?
for public inputs.
Okay, sorry. Tracy Mitchell, and I live on Point Ideal Drive. Need my address?
Yes.
351 Point Ideal.
And let us know what you have input on.
I'd like to speak to Mayor McGonigal, council, as well as Mr. Fernandez regarding the parking plan that's being put forth. Now is when I speak?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry, I've never done this before, so I apologize. As I stated, I'd like to address Mayor McGonigal, Town Council, and Mr. Fernandez regarding the parking plan being put forth. I'm speaking to you as a concerned resident of Lake Cowichan, as well as a resident of Point Ideal Drive. It is my understanding that no residents of Point Ideal Drive were consulted or asked about our experience of the issue we are currently and historically having on Point Ideal Drive during peak conditions and summer months. It is also my understanding that local business owners were not given an opportunity for input or to voice their concerns of this plan. It is also my understanding that the only consultation report that is spoken of in this plan was written by the company that would be supplying the parking meters at $35,000. Were there any other quotes for this parking app? I'm not sure if I'm allowed to ask you questions.
Later on,
Okay.
question periods at the end.
Perfect, thank you. Mr. Fernandez states that parking control should not come at a cost to taxpayers, and it would be unreasonable to expect taxpayers to ensure parking control is complied with. Who is funding the parking meters and who will enforce the bylaws? Mr. Fernandez does state in his plan, and I quote, "Council members may have personal evidence on municipal issues, but those certainly cannot be relied upon to support seemingly expert advice that pertain to parking flows in the absence of formal experience of knowledge and on these matters." Historically, there has been much discussion regarding the parking issue during summer months. Having lived on Point Ideal, I have also raised issues to Mr. Fernandez regarding the parking in this area. These issues would have ranged from indecent exposure from people changing their clothing at their vehicles, the general disrespect of drivers and speeding in the area and jaywalking, not to mention use of drugs and leaving their garbage behind, also urinating and defecating in the park. Parking on Point Ideal will be, as stated in the plan, from 9 to 6 p.m. at a cost of $10 per day. We, as residents on Point Ideal, will now have to pay for our visitors to park at our house, or a vehicle of mine will be tagged and towed or a fine given. Is parking free at the pharmacy? It is unclear as it is written. In my opinion, selling 2-hour parking is setting people up for failure. The ride down the river is longer than that. This also gives no one the opportunity to shop, eat, or visit businesses along North Shore Road, South Shore Road. There will also be 15-minute turnaround at the beginning of Point Ideal. Where and who pays for this, and has anything been discussed on the congestion of this area already? Will there be emergency vehicle access? Tube Shack is paying for parking on Point Ideal. This area is called Centennial Park, but it does not look like any sort of park in the last 2 years. It is not being maintained by the town, which is my understanding it should be. Is this going to be metered as well? Centennial Park has become a large area with hills of clean filled dirt that has not been moved for over 2 years. I'd like to ask at this time for this plan not to be approved and more consultation be done. We believe that there is more to be discussed at this point, and the current plan does not address many of the current issues faced by residents and businesses in town. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any input? Yes? Would you stand up and give your name and address, please?
Absolutely. My name is Wade Gamble. I live at 7 Boundary Road. For you, those of you that don't know me, my name is Wade Gamble. I'm the general manager of Jake's at the Lake here in Lake Cowichan. But I'm not here to talk about my business. I'm here to give a voice to the small business community here in Lake Cowichan. I understand that the town staff need to respond to complaints, and I understand that there have been issues with parking and the staff needs to react. But that is all this is, a reactionary plan. It's a plan with no foresight for future need, no consultation with concerned stakeholders, and no study behind the actual issues. Nowhere is there considerations for the town's need to support economic development, small businesses, and our tourism-dependent local economy. Parking is a resource. That's one thing that I agree with in the recommendations, the only thing. It is something that can be drawn upon in order to function effectively. That doesn't mean that the only way to draw upon that resource is to add fees, tow, tax, and ticket it. Parking and the issues that surround it in the times when we welcome more people and their dollars to our town need to be looked at in all lights. Is it a burden? Sure. Is it the reason that most small businesses in town survive? Absolutely. We've seen the shuttering of a bank, a breakfast restaurant, the insurance office, a convenience store, a coffee shop, and a fish and chip shop just in the last few years. Margins are thin, wages are high, costs are soaring, and we've had a person with a clipboard asking our possible customers what their parking intentions are for the day. Who do we expect to park in these spots? It's residents and visitors, and they're coming to the central core to visit our businesses and access our resources. We need to stop thinking about sending visitors home with souvenir parking tickets and work towards some real parking solutions. It is clearly evident that a parking study is required moving forward, and in the meantime, a committee should form to address parking this upcoming summer. Going forward with these recommendations as written would be a huge disservice to supporting our small local businesses. In the past few years, the town staff have set about solving this problem with varying techniques and unmeasurable successes. Don't let these recommendations become the next dart on the board as we look for a proper solution. Thank you.
Anyone else have any input? Yes, William?
I'm William Duster. I live up on Maple Avenue. I read through this memorandum today and I thought, what a load of horse droppings. First of all, how's it going to be enforced? By whom and how? The cost versus loss. Has there been any actual study, or is it just someone's idea, this is what's going to be done? I think that's wrong. There should be proper consultation. Another question, what about EV parking and charging like that? Where are the meters going to be set up? No one knows. It's like someone's just said, boom, this is what's going to happen. It isn't. This is a town we should all work together, should all put forward what we believe, and then work on it from there. You know, the cost of signage, proper signage, and marking of the road, and all that, that's got to be done, but I bet that hasn't been taken into consideration at all. Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, Ross? Oh,
Hi, I'm Ross Forrest, 210 River Road. Many of you know me, some of you don't. I've lived in this community for 70 years now, and I've seen our town transition from a forestry town to, whether we like it or not, tourism's a big part of our economic success here now. So, and unfortunately, it's only 3 months a year, 2.5 months a year, whatever you want to call it. So 4 years ago, I had recently retired and was bored, and I'd seen an advertising to drive for the Tube Shack. So you might think I have a bias because for the last 4 years, I've driven the shuttle bus for the Tube Shack. The reason I took that job, wanted that job, is because I wanted to get the tourist perspective of our community. That's why I applied. I was running for mayor again at the time. I wanted to know what the tourists thought of our town and how it was benefiting our town. I think I know the answers. I talked to, some people have seen, I keep track of where the people come from, how many people come on my bus. I know how many people the tubing is bringing to our community. Personally, last year, I drove 11,699 people on my bus. Ken's another driver. I don't know how many he drove. I don't know how many Ted drove. I don't know how many Appy drove. It's a lot of people coming to our community, spending money. Our businesses need that. They need it big time. So I do have a bias for the Tube Shack, but my bias is for the business community as a whole. And, I know I've talked to Pete down at Little Beach there, and, he tells me his business is much more successful in the summertime than it is in the wintertime. It's pretty obvious for our community, right? We rely on that. All our businesses rely on that. So, there's a sign coming into town that says we're a vibrant community. I don't see what the problem with Saywell Park being full with people all the time. To my knowledge, there hasn't been accidents there. Nobody's got hurt. A vibrant community is one that looks like there's some life going on there. And it is. Families eat at those picnic tables, the ones that can't afford to go to the restaurants. They eat on the park there. They support our businesses. And the further we've pushed away, the last 2 years, we've been parking at down at the ballpark. And that's great. It's taken that overflow traffic down there. But those people that are getting dropped off at the ballpark are getting in their car. They're not coming and shopping in the businesses if we're pushing them away further and further. And if we're going to charge people to park downtown, it's going to push them back further and further into the streets where more residents are going to be pissed off. Excuse my language, but so I totally disagree with the recommendation, and I hope council sees that. So thank you for listening to me.
Brent, did you want to speak?
I'm Brent Clancy at 33 Pine Street. So I understand, the recommendations. I think if they're all implemented, it would certainly inconvenience citizens of the town. I think it would inconvenience visitors to the town, and I think it would hurt some businesses. I know personally, as someone who uses the river and goes swimming daily with my wife and have for several years, we would be severely inconvenienced if we had to pay, every day for parking for the first 2 hours. I know that would, certainly, my wife has already said she'd be out here protesting every day in front of town hall. So she's like, I do say some of the recommendations might have some validity to them. We're trying to solve a problem. I can say from last year to the years before, Saywell Park actually had parking spots. It was accessible. So someone who uses Saywell Park, and a user of the park, it was, we'd go there, we'd go swim, we'd go get ice cream or have a bite to eat. It worked well. I think paying for the first 2 hours would, it would leave a sour taste in my mouth, even just as a citizen here. So I don't think many citizens would like that. I understand you don't want people parking there all day and there should be enforcement and fines. That makes sense to me. But I would take caution to council for imposing or voting to implement all these suggestions without some real thought behind the implications of what happened and how it would affect residents, businesses, and visitors. So that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes.
My name's Max Russell, 8976 Ubo Road. For disclosure,
I'm here representing GMR Accounting. We look after the two checks, books, and their tax filings. Couple things on the memo. Either 2022 or 2021, there was $25,000 allocated for a traffic flow plan, which was never done. Right there, this should be voted down. Number two, BRI security looked after downtown this year. It's in the memo that they said that the biggest problem was the buses. Well, that's coming from a company whose owners are very biased against the tubers. They've been on Facebook numerous times slamming the tubers. The fact that this memo, you would have to live in a cage or in a cave somewhere to not realize that it was directed towards the tube shack. And it says there that they're using parking and not paying. Well, I know for a fact they're paying $4,500 a year to the town. They're not getting guaranteed parking. They're not renting stalls. They're being told they can use the parking lot for ideal. But if it's first come, first serve. Yet they're paying for it. You know, Aaron is very community minded. He employs 28 people for 3 months of the year. He's put $18,000 last year into the environmental cleanup. Multimedia to promote this town, 20 grand last year. Sponsorship for teams and such, 12 grand. Local businesses such as Sword Fern, etc., the gas stations, 75,000. You know, that's 325,000 that he puts just in this town. The people coming in here, 45 to 55,000 he's drawing in here, brings over $2 million to the community. So, yeah, there may be a problem. It's 16 days of the year that there's a problem. Monday to Thursday is when I come to town. To go to the drugstore, to go to Lorna's, to go to Sword Fern, to get my gas, to get my groceries. And I go for a walk in the woods on the weekend. So it's not really a problem. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't see any, oh, Catherine?
Oh, I thought there was a microphone. I could have done that down there.
You
can't.
Thank you.
Catherine Worsley from 320 Lake Park Road. I may be a renter, but I also put into the community as well with working and doing all kinds of volunteer work. So I just want to point out that we have a population that is majority seniors here in our area. And to raise and to put in a metered parking or a paid parking to our seniors that are already on a fixed income, they're already having a hard time struggling with what they have right now. To put in paid parking for them to go to the doctor, to the dentist, to the drugstore just across the street is going to be terrible hardship on our seniors alone. We have businesses just the same as like was mentioned in regards to businesses that have been shut down. This is going to cause more hardship on our businesses that are here in our Cowichan, Lake Cowichan area. We have a lot of people that already go to Duncan, Nanaimo, Langford for the cheaper deals, for the cheaper prices. Believe me, you're going to put up paid parking. Anyone that's looking at, oh, I can get it $2 cheaper, and you're going to charge them $10 for the day to park, they're going to go again. So we're going to see a lot more people leave our community to go and get the products that they need and or want, and not rely on our small businesses here in the Lake Cowichan area. In 2016, when we talk about paid parking, we had Sunfest that was coming to our town, and we were going to have an influx of over 50,000 people for that week. So chamber and other committees and other groups got together and we talked about forming and creating, having a bus pick people up. They can pay for their parking down at Saywell Park at Centennial Field, and we will bus them up to the area. That I will tell you was a very unsuccessful because nobody wanted to pay park. Everybody parked on the sides of the roads, in front of your driveways, in front of your houses. It was absolutely a terrible situation. So they weren't gonna pay because I can go park down here on this side of the road and you're gonna see more clutter on our roadways. And this is a main highway, and I don't think that Department of Motor Vehicle Transportation are gonna wanna see that kind of clutter on our main road. We already have enough on our main road. Our business storefronts are constantly inundated already with large vehicles, campers, boats, trailers, buses, parking in front of their business storefronts for more than 2 hours. Nobody is manning it. Nobody is watching and or doing their service to make sure that you are only there for 2 hours. It takes 2.5 to 3, sometimes 3.5 hours to do your tubing down the river, which is an enjoyable event. I've done it many times. We've had chamber meetings and other chamber groups that have come up here to do groups. And it is a wonderful experience. And the company that runs and does the tubing is environmentally friendly on all aspects on their part. And then we have the other individuals that come here and tube on their own. And like Tracy has mentioned, we've seen individuals that have come out and, exposing, yes, defecating, yes, garbage being placed and put around. So the last thing that you want to do is have it put all through the town, because I know that our garbage cans at the park also fill up. There's not enough room, there's not enough space. The openings in those garbage cans cannot allow you to put stuff into them. My concern is our businesses, our citizens here in the area. How are you going to discern who is who? Is there going to be a free local card for all of our businesses and all of our citizens here in the area? How are you going to discern that? So I would say it needs to go back to the drawing board.
Oh, one more, Rita? Oh, you sure?
Rita Gusto, 165 Maple Avenue. I was reading your memo, which was on your thing, and I actually find this statement insulting to the council members. Council members may have personal evidence on municipal issues, but those certainly cannot be relied upon to support seemingly expert advice on such issues that pertain to parking or traffic flows in the absence of formal experience or knowledge. Like, seriously? That is quite insulting. What are you saying, Joe? Are you saying that these council have no idea about parking or anything else? That's it?
I'm just.
Yeah, okay, that's it. And my other one is, the other one is, what is the cost of these meters? And apparently you've already brought, from what's written in here, they were purchased and the meters were given short shift with no further discussion given. Really? That's what it said in here. So you guys, that's it for me, but that's highly insulting in my mind. Do you feel it?
Is that it, or is there one more?
Just the time made before we continue on, we certainly do respect public input, but we will not allow any disparaging remarks to either ourselves or staff. They have provided us with this report moving forward, and we will consider it when the time comes. No, thank you.
Yes, your name, sir?
Hi there, my name is Sam Warning, and I'm the new general manager for Dry Dock Marine on Fern Road down, so we see a lot of that traffic down there too, and speaking someone on behalf of Arlene Van, open and sort for boutique. And it's just basically, I wanted to share some of my observations. I'm relatively new to this community. I've been here a couple of years now. But really, yeah, it really does seem like this acts as nothing but a deterrent for people to come into this community, stay in this community, leave their dollars in this community, and shop here, enjoy what we have to offer here. It's a beautiful and fabulous, thriving little community. All the small businesses in this community are exemplary. There's so many strong and powerful people doing fantastic things. And literally the one thing that so many of these businesses are lacking right now is foot traffic. And foot traffic is exactly what a policy like this will deter. We need to keep people in this town, allow them to stay here, feel leisurely about spending time here, about spending energy here, and about spending money in our community, because whether we like it or not, that's how we all survive. That's how we make our living. We're getting pinched on every end right now. And really, we got to stand behind our local small businesses, because that's what we have. Without forestry and major industry in this town anymore, this is it. You guys are it. Like, this is what keeps this going. And we got to stand behind them. And I personally don't believe that this policy has small businesses in mind with that consideration, as well as just the convenience of ourselves. If I got to go to Lordco to get parts for a boat or something, that means I got to pay $2 to park there for an extra second. I'm going to pass that on to my customers. I got to, you know, it's I just believe that it's a step in the wrong direction. Duncan actually, in fact, has been over the last 3 years conducting extensive research to basically on their parking. They've actually just announced as of December, a whole bunch more free parking downtown. There's $2 parking for all day, where you can come and go as you please. Lots of parking around the town. That town right now, you go down there, the farmers markets, all these events, the summer and stuff like that. The town's bustling. There's reasons for me to go there. I'm not necessarily one to walk around in a town and do shopping like door to door, but I will go and get something good to eat at a farmer's market. And then I will pop into a business while I'm there, because I don't care how long my car's parked there. That's what we need to be encouraging here, not encouraging people to be leaving this community, taking that same $10 that they would have paid for parking and driving to Duncan, because it is free there and it's easy to go and shop, walk around, get what you need, whatever. We need to put this money back in the couch and not take it out of their pockets.
Is that enough for now? There's stuff, oh, there's one more. There is a question here at the end as well.
Marie Nabokowski, 6040 Stoltz Road. So I'm basically on the border of Duncan and Lake Cowichan. I'm newer there, about 1.5 years, and I always try to support Lake Cowichan instead of going to Duncan. I don't have to, because it's free parking down there, but I don't want to be in that town just because it's a little bit bigger. I like that. I see the businesses here. I see that there aren't a lot of cars parked in front. The last 4 years have been hard on small business. We have no right to make it even harder on them. They've taken the guts, had the tenacity to open up their own business. We owe them to support them and their families in that venture. I don't care if I pay a little bit more for groceries. It's about supporting this community. I do like the community, and I will always turn left to come this way rather than right. But if you make me nickel and dime me for parking, I will turn right. I don't want to turn right. And I don't want to have to worry about having a credit card, having, change by for the parking meter. I just don't think it's right. This is what Lake Cowichan was built on, is that community standard, helping out one another. I see where the roots are, the forestry, and nobody nickel and dime them before. This is not a time to start after this COVID. Okay.
Okay, but no, there is question period at the end as well. Oh, yes, would you go and get Aaron, please? Okay, thank you. Our next item is minutes, recommendations have been ratified by council of the previous committee of the whole from January 9th. Was there any business arising from that? Does it look like it? Nothing? Okay, thank you. We have a delegation tonight, Mrs. Pat Weaver for the Lake Day Society. Would you like to come up and tell us about, you have 10 minutes? We don't make decisions.
I'm kind of overwhelmed with all of this, but
Maybe they're future volunteers.
I used to be on the other side of the table, so this is a little different for me.
At their names.
Lake days. I've come tonight to ask, well, first of all, permission if we can have lake days after I hear all this discussion. I've never had to do that before. And the other thing is the town council in the past, when myself and Pat Foster sat at that table, we started the town barbecue. So I'm here to ask if we can do that again this year. That's the main thing. I've got it started. And the reason I've come earlier is because the town generally picks up the tab for that. And that was something that Pat and I thought was one way for the town to give back to the community. And it seems like everybody's really interested in having it again. So I need to know now so we can make start buying, because the sooner we buy, the better prices we may get, especially for the meat. And my committee that I'm working with have thought that we should be able to sell the tickets at $10 a ticket. And that, I can't see nowadays that anybody would have a problem with having a steak, baked potato, salad, and cake for $10 in the park. But I guess the other thing I should ask would be, are we able to have use Saywell Park for our Lake Day celebration that's been going on since 1943?
Which one? What's
No,
the date?
Yes, there.
Just for everyone's information, we do not make decisions on
I know.
delegation, as you know, by sitting on this side of the chair. But we have historically sponsored the state barbecue on the town, and I would encourage you to, at your earliest opportunity, come in and speak with our CAO on the timing of that. When Saywell would be needed for that Lake Days, and then that could come back to us for consideration, approval, and discussion at that time. But we're certainly pleased that you've come forward in a timely manner and reinstituting Lake Days after a long.
It was asked, Lake Days is the second weekend in June. It starts Monday night with strawberry tea, I hope. Wednesday night is Opportunity Day. Friday night is the Lady of Lake Ball. And Saturday is what I'm talking about, takes place in Saywell Park, the 8th and the 9th. Okay, thank you very much for listening to me.
There may be questions. Not from them.
Well, from here, oh, okay,
Any folks?
sorry.
It's the question, the day will be 8 to be.
8,
Saturday the
yeah.
8th. Yeah.
I'm hoping to have Sunday too, if we can get enough things.
Oh, okay, and steaks aren't a problem, because they're so expensive.
I know
I
that's,
wondered if you'd have to go to hamburgers and hot dogs.
I don't want to.
Okay. Just a question.
That would kind of, we will have hamburgers and hot dogs on the field that day.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, so we're trying to make it a little nicer.
Oh, that's good. And you've got parade going and everything?
Yeah, Eric, like I called them my heads of state, all the parts of Lake Days is in order. We need volunteers though.
Get
For
their
sure.
names. Counselor Sandu?
I can give you my telephone number if anybody's interested.
What's your number?
250.
Yeah.
749. 3120. And I don't do that fancy stuff that all you guys do. I'm a little older than Ross, and I used to swim that river. That was my playground.
Okay. Can I, well, just a minute, Counselor Sandu, had her hand up.
Yeah, just, so when will the next meeting be for the Lake Days?
I don't know. I'll phone.
And then maybe we can get that on the town's
Yeah.
Facebook page and website and stuff.
I will,
So that
yeah.
anybody in the community can.
I will. Okay, we're trying to get some literature back to Lake Days, so.
Counselor Malaka?
Oh, I'm known for spilling the pot and I'm gonna do it with a big paddle. How will the parking, paid parking affect.
It will.
Lake days celebrations.
It will. I was thinking of that and then it was going through my mind, maybe it won't be set up before Lake Days, it will be after if it's coming. It would affect Lake Days.
Okay. Is there anything there regarding?
No, thank you.
Anyone, Mayor Frisbee? Thank you, Pat.
Okay.
You'll be waiting for Lake Days to happen,
I hope so.
and I'll help if you
It's all
need.
up to you guys.
So reach out and chat with
And you.
your earliest convenience and then get the information brought to us.
I will do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, correspondence, I don't see any. Reports, finance, administration, and strategic planning, so Director of Finance, Mrs. Gill, please.
Yes, the statements have been prepared and presented. Just keep in mind the 2023 numbers are presented are not finalized. We're still working on year end. The 2024 budget numbers, are also preliminary numbers, as per our staff budget discussions. The utility billings for 2024 have been mailed out. If you haven't gotten your utility bill, come in and see us. And we've started to receive payments on the Citizen Cloud service, so you can pay your utility bills online using your credit card. And you will also be charged, the third party charges a small convenience fee for using that service. So I have.
Any questions? Sandra?
Just regarding the fire department, the fire vehicles and equipment, is that like maintenance, like repairs or?
For what page?
Yes.
Yes.
And do we have in-house?
Some of it's in-house, some of it is not.
Some of it is.
Councilor Novak?
Can I ask, snow removal, it was a $50,000 budget and it was almost 12,000 actual to now. So the $38,000 approximately, and I went through trying to find where the reserve was for.
It'll be transferred to reserve us.
But where is it? Because I thought we had said that it would be its own line, I didn't, so that we would see it accumulating and I can't find it.
You'll see that on the year end statement.
On the year end, it will say snow removal reserve. Okay, thank you.
I was just gonna say, so it's a separate account that whatever's remaining just goes into a separate account, so any.
It's one account, but it's
Yes.
portioned down between all the different funds and reserves that we can.
Anything else? Councilor Frisbee?
The 4% increase in property tax, what does that mean by an actual number? What is the money amount of 4%?
It's 4% on last year's tax collection.
Which would be what? Like, what's the dollar figure of that increase?
It's on the there, so we go from the 2.5 million, 2.544 to the 2.46, 2.64.
So each, if I may, each over 100% increases. Well, probably about, how much? How about like $20,000 is 4% would be $80,000 increase.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilor Frisbee?
Yeah, just because we are talking with you about your business plans tonight, Mr. Smith. As far as, I know this is a draft budget, but at the moment we are, if I look at capital expenditures towards the Click and Lakeview, we're scheduled to spend $860,000 on that. With, I'm sure there's some grant money in there. The Click and the Lakeview projected to lose $28,000 this year. Obviously, it's projected, hopefully it's better, but we're looking at a net loss of $888,000. Obviously, there is an asset being built there with the dock and walking thing, but I mean, that's catering to visitors though, that money, isn't it? I guess what I'm asking you is this is just targeted at visitors.
If we were to be successful in the two grants that we're have written for.
Yeah.
One will hear at the end of this month. That's the only way we will expend those funds.
Is that the 500 for the walkway and the
That's right.
150 for the dock?
Exactly.
So we're still looking about
Center.
the dock in the centre. So we're still looking about 238,000 then. after those grants taken, after those two items are taken away? For expenditure on the Click and the Lakeview, if we do delete those two
Yeah,
items?
we have, as you well know, we carried forward the development for the extension to the Lakeview Park Campground washrooms, which is in progress right now. So that was a carryover from last year, and we increased the budget there from 70 to approximately 100 and something to make sure we had enough money to finish it completely.
Just through the, your finance. So I realize that we have capital expenditures separated from the Click, but that being part of the business and Lakeview, why is it not in its balance sheet? Why are expenses like heating sources and paint capital expenditures and not part of the business thing? Because we're looking at the financial statement and it looks like it's balanced, but then you look at the chunks elsewhere we're spending on.
Yeah, so you're looking at cash flow, whereas capital expenditures are not expense for accounting. That's the accounting rules.
Right.
They have to be charged to the balance sheet and amortized, and the amortization each year is what over the useful life of the capital asset. That's what's required.
Yeah, I think it would be fair to say that expense is passed on to the taxpayers, and it's obviously catering to visitors and tourists. So that's a huge expense at the moment. I realize we can debate the budget further, but if we look at the info center, we're also spending $49,000 on this year. Now, based on 2022's numbers, the gross cost per visitor is $21 coming into the info center. So every person who comes in there is $21. After the $20,000 grant, it's $12.40, which I don't know if that's money well spent or whether that's a service we want to keep going on. But again, catering to visitors, which obviously I support, but if we're going to take this look at why are taxpayers paying for visitors, we should look in-house.
And this budget is preliminary. It goes to council.
Oh, really?
These decisions will be discussed at that point. So this is just.
The reason why I'm bringing it up tonight is because we've got a business plan being presented. So that's why I'm bringing it.
If I can just add one comment to that. Over the years, we've been very successful with some major grants, as you can see. Not hundreds of thousands, but multi-millions. And those figures are also not shown on a statement. So if we, for example, when we did the first waterfront walkway, everything was free. Donations, we had about $500,000 from the province. I think it came to about 828,000 or something at that time. None of that would show on the bottom line, yet it's an asset that we created. Lakeview Development, the park itself, we had many hundreds of thousands of dollars that we were able to apply for successfully. And during downtimes in Lake Cowichan, when the employment was hard, the job creation programs that brought in a lot of free labor that we took care of. And that also does not show as a capital asset. So it's a little bit funny accounting, but as far as operating is concerned, we cover the operating expenses. So for example, all the money that's earned from our revenue, when you take a look at that, some of you may not realize, but the staff at the center, all of our salaries are paid for, of course, by the revenue that we generate. And we are the only ones that are able to do that in small communities.
There's rumors that there was a large WCB fine imposed on the town. Is that anywhere in the budget, or can anyone tell me about that? There's a large WCB fine that's imposed on the town. I haven't heard about it, it's just rumors, but does anyone have knowledge on that? Yeah. Nothing? No. Thank you.
And the fine is for what, you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
So just moving forward, this proposed budget moving forward that management has worked on outside of our input. So it'll come forward to us during our budget deliberations, and we can pick through item by item and department by department on what was implicated within the management plan, what was left out of the management plan, and what we feel could be or might be implemented into the budget when it's finalized. So this is just the preliminary portion of the work that management has done preemptive to our budget discussions, where we will deliberate each item that is brought forward and make that decision at this table moving forward. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mayor McGonigal. Our next item is the building inspection report. That's just for information only. Any questions on that? Okay, and the next one is our fire department for December 2023. We need a resolution to pay $9,355.76. Councillor Frisbee, seconder. Mayor McGonigal. Any questions?
I just have a question on December 3rd, it said first responder purple. Just, I don't need an answer, we don't have it, but I'm just curious as to, I've never seen that, so.
I'll get it for you.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion on that? All those in favor? And carried. And the next one is for the January fire department report. And again, $9,700.81. Any, as a mover? Councillor Frisbee? Seconder? Nobody seconding? Councillor Sandu, any questions on that one? Okay, all those in favor? Thank you. Strategic plan is our next update. We have a copy here. Any questions on the strategic plan? No? It is kind of
Trying to read
small.
it, I really struggle to.
It's really small.
So I just want, the dog park's complete, isn't it?
Sorry,
Is the dog park complete?
other than, putting up water faucet. Other dogs.
There's quite a few things coming up for 2024. And quite a few that are ongoing. Any questions, Mayor McGonigal?
Just, perhaps, please should know the budget, discussions, so we could do a meeting just on strategic plan with perhaps some of the implementations that have been incorporated into the budget process. And updated, it is a living document, so I think there's some stuff that may come forward, for instance, the water treatment, wastewater treatment plant upgrades that have been announced, the funding for that. I think it's important to incorporate that in the strategic plan where that fits. And ongoing, whatever may come forward in the budget process, to put that into the plan as we move forward. I think if we set aside a committee of the whole meeting to focus on a strategic plan update after the budget process, that will incorporate the working plan to move forward.
Any other questions on that? Okay, moving right along. The collect business plan, Mr. Smith.
Council has been circulated to them already today, I think, so probably something that you want to take a look at, and if you have questions, perhaps take to the next meeting, you're welcome to address me at that time, or now, whatever you want to do.
Councillor Sandu.
Since this only came at some point today, I haven't had a chance to review it, so I'd like to motion that we bring this to our next committee of the whole meeting, so we have time to review and.
Feedback on.
Yep,
Motion on the floor.
we're motioning it to bring that to the
Bring that question.
Pardon?
I'd like to see that.
Councillor Comacca did. So, any other questions on that right now?
Now you can have a discussion.
I'd like, in a business plan, I'd like to see finances, so 2 points, financial projections, growth and goals. And then also a marketing plan. I realize you've said that you want to lean on existing finance to keep building, but I've said it to all in the face. I think there needs to be a marketing plan, whether it's just simply getting on social media or tapping into tourism culture and we'll do it all for free. But that's something that needs to be added to that business plan. In my opinion.
All in favor of moving it to the next committee of the whole? Thank you. Thank you. We're down to Parks, Recreation and Culture, Community Garden, request to expand garden area. Do you have a report, Mr. Fernandez, or?
Actually,
Yes?
the superintendent. So I went, I met with them up at the community garden and, there's a sewer line running right through where they want to expand it to. I've explained that to them. So what I would suggest that they move it east, there's lots of room there. And they're considering that, that's probably what will happen, so, and they have more expansion than that.
You have it in hand, then. Any questions on that? From anyone? It's important to have that in our community, a lot of people use it, and it is a great benefit to our community. Public Works and Environmental Services Chief Administrative Officer, we need to regulate parking, public parking. So.
And then, that Councilor Frisbee has removed himself to see fingers on this. Should have stated departed, but I'll take that.
You have made
That's stated.
Do we want to motion this to get it on the floor for discussion?
I don't think we need to, Madam Chair. If you feel the staff recommendations are appropriate, remove those. But I think if we let the CAO present the memo.
Okay.
You want me to present the memo?
Or synopsis.
Yeah, well, actually, I probably don't need to because there's been enough discussion on my memo earlier today. And one of the things that got missed in the entire discussion was the fact that the parking on South Shore Road is going to be free. That was a proposal, but I think that got missed somehow in the discussions that were had here. So that's the only difference. Otherwise, it's got the recommendation here. The council feels it's appropriate to implement those, then it's up to you.
Thank you,
Madam Chair. First of all, I thank you for the staff report. The public input, we've seen there is a lot of interest in this now. Unfortunately, in last year's budget, the council has implemented a traffic study being conducted. That was not completed. We felt that traffic study would have helped us along into the parking plan, long-term parking plan. I feel that by utilizing similar stopgap measures and hoping for different results without that parking study and long-term parking plan may have unintended consequences of removing the parking from said facility to residential areas to go. I think it's important that we are not experts, and nor do we have the capacity within our staff right now for the expertise that's needed for this long-term solution. To suggest that as a town resident shouldn't pay for parking, I would suggest people live in Victoria and not pay for parking. So the idea that as a resident you should not pay for parking is not that well. I think if you are utilizing structure, if there is an implementation of parking that all residents, whether visitors or those who reside here, would pay for that. And in doing so, if the parking study and the long-term parking plan comes and suggests that that's appropriate, look for infrastructure improvements for parking opportunities. I believe that's where we're lacking in the 3 months of the year. If within the memo, it suggests that there's congestion within Sable Park, we could implement at the beginning of Point Ideal Road, right beside the information center, that we designated drop off and pickup point for the tubers. It's about a 2-minute walk from there to the tube shaft. We could certainly utilize some of those portions to alleviate some of the congestion within there. But I don't think the current plan, without the expertise of a parking study and a long-term parking plan, does anything to appease the issues of the 3 months. I do understand that there is concern on Point Ideal in the busy season, when there are upwards of 25,000 people coming to the community, not only to visit Saywell Park, but the businesses, whether it be country grocer, whether it be the liquor store, to recreate within the park, to swim within their own facility at Saywell Park. I think we need to have a long-term vision of how we entice people to stay longer than 2 hours. So that's just my point. I would rather see that we focus on a parking study and a long-term parking plan moving forward before implementing any parking costs within our infrastructure.
Thank you. Did you have your hand up first? Councilor O'Malley.
One question just for clarification. Were these parking meters already purchased?
No.
They haven't been. Okay, thank you very much. And another one that is the table sees fit to do it. I think the traffic study, when it does happen with, should be in conjunction also with businesses and also residents.
I do believe our superintendent and staff did do some work talking to businesses.
We spoke to a number of businesses, and we also speaking to the Ministry of Transport, which owns South Shore Road. The council does not own that road, so we are not the only ones that have a say in it. And if you look, outside the country grocer, they are actually doing traffic study right now, the Ministry of Transport. We've got some counter up beside country grocer, and they're installing down here, and they'll do it again, early summer. So we have to work with the ministry. It's not our road, so it's the council can't just make that decision. Like traffic circles or lights and all that stuff. We have to work with the ministry on this. And which we have been doing for the last 2 years.
Let's say the park and Point Idea and the ball field, they're all municipal.
That's municipal.
Yeah. Okay.
And just with Tracy's concerns, parking in front of your house, they can't go that far. They, you know, they won't be in the residential area when we propose it.
Can we ask him questions now, or is that?
At the end.
Yeah, sorry, I haven't done this, so I needed a clarification.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you, superintendent. Anything else?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
instead of the staff recommendation, I would move that council endorse the parking study and long-term parking plan in the budget of this year for consideration.
I'll second that. Oh. Well, you can go ahead now.
Well, I think there needs to be some clarification is council, the previous council and the current council have requested staff to work on this regarding parking in Salem the last number of years. And I think it's important that we correct any misinformation out there that there is no charge to parking on South Shore Road. That one question I had is this parking going to be implemented weekends only during the summer or like for
All through the summer.
all through the summer? Can I ask? Is there parking issues during the week down in that area, or is it more on weekends?
That would, I think, would be better addressed by the superintendent.
So the weekend, it's definitely worse, but during the summer months, it's congested during.
Good. So we have a seconder to endorse the parking study. Any further questions on that?
Just discussion. I think the intent is to get expert information by people who are experts in parking, traffic, and directing that to appropriate places. We don't have a long-term parking plan in our jurisdiction, and that is imperative moving forward as we entice probably more and more visitors to our area. Where is our deficiencies? What can we do to improve that infrastructure? And working with Ministry of Transportation on the intersection of Point Ideal and being the South Shore Road, what can be accommodated there, whether it be a traffic circle or traffic lights. That will give us an indication of where we can improve those flows and stop the congestion that is in those 3 months of the year. So that's the only intent of this, is to put the horse before the cart, so to speak.
Yeah.
So if this passes, then what could be the possible timeframe of getting a consultant to come? And then if he suggests that we do these parking meters, how are we gonna, in a time before summer, have these parking meters purchased and everything implemented? We're going into the middle of March now, or February now, so that's my concern now is timing, is
And
we are on it.
I think without the proper information, that we're just chasing strategies that might work. We have chased strategies in the past that have failed, in my opinion. Information and public input did not fix the problem. If the suggestion is that parking meters come forward, then we will initiate that discussion. If there is a need currently for more bylaw enforcement within the summer months, then let's incorporate that into our plan for this year. I don't think by just implementing the parking plan that is currently presented without the expertise of people who know parking studies and long-term parking plans, it is putting us behind the 8 ball, in my opinion. And I'm just speaking to some of the items in there that discuss a 2-hour limit. And I don't think we want to chase people away from our community after 2 hours. If I can entice people to stay for 10 hours, let them park that long for a significant amount of money that is appropriate for that stay. But we don't have that incorporated into the plan. So if we're gonna chase them after 2 hours into the residential area, I don't see that coming much approval.
Okay, we have a mover and a seconder for this. All in favor? To endorse the parking study. Okay. Carry. Okay, now we're down to new business. One of these days, we're gonna be touring the municipal facilities of Black and Lakeview and Info Center. Mr. Smith, when's a good one for that? Feel April?
April's fine.
March, April? Let's say, sir.
April's a bit nicer for being close to completion on the washing of that one, so probably be nice to do that.
Did we ever get the drone flyover that the people were doing for you for the area?
We have some footage to go through eventually, and that could be used when we go forward in the second round.
For advertising, yeah, that could be good. Okay, thank you. So we'll just keep in touch for that. Any notices of motion?
Just for you, if I may, to Mr. Smith, can you check the people who might be there in April and how to accommodate us for tourists, not take into consideration that they want to see us there?
I will do that for sure.
Thank you. Give us a little bit of favor. We'll work around your schedule.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, notices of motion for another meeting, just other than what we already have today.
I was just there, I received an email last night from Couch Monship or that former Chief Chip Seymour passed away yesterday for the Couch Times.
Thank you for that.
So we may extend publicly our condolences to the Couch and people loss of Chief Seymour. Town of the Couch, and we'd like to extend our sincere sympathies.
Question period. This is limited to items on the agenda. For off-site, the phone number is 250-749-3239. For in-person, guest speakers have 3 minutes. I know we've heard a lot beforehand, but if there's anything you want to add. Let's see if the phone starts ringing. Yes, sir. Would you like to give your name?
Dwayne Mitchell,
Can you stand up closer to the?
Dwayne Mitchell, 351 Point Ideal Drive. I've got many questions. It starts with, is this memo dead now?
The plan.
It's off the table.
Staff recommendations, we're not.
It's the only question.
It is entirety. We are moving forward as the motion stated with a parking study and long-term parking.
We'll hear the phone ringing. Oh, did you have something? Your name, please, and where you live?
Deborah Dompier, 388 Point Ideal Drive. Seeing as this has been tabled, would it be possible for the next memo to consider making these changes for the summer months only, since that seems to be the only time that everybody's concerned
That's what
about?
it is, it's only for summer months.
That's not what it says.
I think it does in some form there. It would not be all year round, absolutely not. We've been discussing 3 months. 3 months. We've been discussing it since 2015, I think. And,
Yes, and I
It's
understand,
because
and I
local-
understand it too, but as a very expensive tax-paying resident, I would hate to have to be nickel and dime just to go to the drugstore or go to the hardware store, and I gotta look for change or pull out my credit card.
there's nothing at the hardware store. You'd be all right down that way. There's no parking.
Okay, well, that was just an example though.
Yeah, yeah.
And would residents stickers be considered?
It's all in, when we get someone to do this parking study, we'll figure it out. That's
Okay, we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Yes, William.
One thing that bothers me, we had the memo came out, but we're talking budgets earlier. What sort of profit and loss are we looking at here? Is there any profit to the town, or is with the overall purchase of the equipment and all the marketing stuff, how much are we going to lose, and for how long?
The equipment has not been purchased.
No, but if it was introduced, that when that came out, it should be said, well, this is what it could cost us, and this is how much we'll lose. It'd be nice if that was included at some stage, rather than just sort of throwing stuff in the air and hope it ends the right way up. Let's get it all, if you're gonna put out a memo or something, let's have some facts in there, not just guesswork. And we could get a consultant in, if you like, how much will that cost? Yeah, we need to know all this money before you guys choose to go ahead and say it's a done deal or it's not. You know, you'd like facts from us and our money, but you give us the exact amount, then people will think perhaps differently of it. I doubt it, but let's see what comes up. Thank you.
Thank you. No phone calls? I guess we're done then. Are we done? Oh, one more, okay.
Catherine Worsley again, 320 Lake Park Road. So in regards to comment, to Carolyn Austin, I do believe Deputy Mayor?
No.
It's changed now, okay. When you said that it's not going to be just for the summer, so that's an assumption based on what is said into the memo in regards to that. It's talking about summer parking becomes a serious issue and a serious problem. So we're to assume that it's only going to be put in place for the summer. And it does say that as a parking issue is a seasonal concern, staff proposes that the meters will be removed at the end of summer. So that's a double cost. Then again, if you're going to remove them at the end of summer. Okay, so, and then it doesn't say just for weekends only either. So it's definitely a lot of information that is not in there in regards to the memo that was sent out. And to assume that it's just for the summer we shouldn't assume.
No, and this is dead now, so we'll be starting over again. the next phase. Okay, thank you all for coming. We're now moving to in camera. May I have a motion to move to in camera?
We need to know why, Madam Chair. Section 92 of the community charter requires that the full meeting or a part of the meeting is closed to the public. Council must state by resolution why the meeting is to be closed. And debate on the meeting is closed falls under the following section of the community charter. Section 91K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of the municipal service. Go in camera, Madam Chair.
Yeah, seconder. Thank you, Lord. Council Christie, for Council Sandu, all in favor?
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you,
Council.
thank you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for the information.
And